for the fofo. This for the fofo. For the city and the back roads. Got a whole county full of them goats. All from the fofo and that goat. Hey, it's just for Beulah County. Yeah, right on your head like a bounty. Said I'm from Beulah, they know I'm from Beulah. So let me just go talk about my surroundings. Shout out them Eagles that's out in Geneva. Them Lakers, oh yeah, that's Palmerton and Valley. We from the fofo chasing these goals. If you in the way, you get taken out proudly. And Jefferson soaring with Falcons. Said that you working, you ain't really working. You see that we working, our hands got a callus. Putting in reps till we moving some mountains. Edgewood got warriors, they won't allow it. Me, I bleed green and gold, they know defeating those dragons who run the whole city. You wildin'. And they really bout it, yeah. And next we gon' go to Grand Valley. Work like a horse and don't show no remorse. So opponents keep coming, we stack them and pile them, yeah. And Connie, I flooded with Spartans. As soon as they pull up on game day, we park them. Cause we number one in that spot, ain't a bargain. Man, shout out St. John, they be ballin' like Harden. This for the fofo. This for the fofo. This for the fofo.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 440 Sports Show, Ashtabula's only morning sports talk show. My name is Sam Torres. Thanks so much for joining us this morning after a great week and a long weekend of baseball this week. It was really a super fun day, a fun week, especially with all the weather that we dealt with in the weeks prior and not getting to, get baseball and softball games in. I think in particular, hold on. All right, good. We're there. I look at a team like St. John who, plays a doubleheader on, they play a doubleheader on Saturday, and that's only their fourth game of the year by the time that game is happening, just because of rainouts and sorry about that. This will no longer be a problem very, very soon, as this webcam is going to find its way into Neverland. We're going to be upgrading. So this thing stops shutting off in the middle of my talking. But I look at a team like St. John again, who with rainouts and some cancellations and that sort of thing, only 4 games on the year. But, last week people were able to get a bunch of them in. And it was good. It was good for the program. It's good for the area. It's good for baseball. Baseball is it's one of those sports that is so heavily reliant on the availability of a dry field. I'm going to try that and see if that doesn't help. Come on. There we are. All right. See if that doesn't help. So I don't know. My camera may be trying to die on me. But that's the way she goes. But anyway, yeah, it was a great week of baseball and softball. And again, I am so sorry, guys. This web camera, Amazon special, is just not doing the job today. So we'll have to make do. Hopefully I don't, continue to drop out. But if I do, we'll just fix it as it comes. Again, it was a fun triple header on Saturday, a super long day of baseball and softball. And then Friday we had softball. I think in total I did about 8 games last week, and it was fun. It was fun because the weeks before it was like, what games are we going to get in? I'm going to bring up some of the interviews from last week, starting on Friday, where we really had a conference battle over there in the NAC as the St. John girls softball team, St. John as a whole, in the NAC for the first time this year. And they got a chance to take on a conference foe in Badger. And what a game that ended up being, with the player of the game being their freshman pitcher, Izzy Holler, striking out 12 from the circle and getting a couple hits. And she's been one of their better bats this year as well. So, the future's really looking up for St. John. So we're going to start off with her interview, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the games on Saturday.
Okay, folks, I'm here with today's player of the game, the freshman phenom herself, Izzy Holler, goes out in the circle today, 12 strikeouts and goes 4 for 4 from the plate. How about that day? What was going on today, Izzy?
I mean, everybody at both teams are hitting and everybody's playing defense, and yeah.
So, today you did a great job at the plate, and awesome job in the circle as well. What were some of the things you worked on in the off season to make sure that your freshman year you were going to come and be ready?
I worked on a lot of rise balls. That was the pitch I needed to get before high school season, and I tried to work on that.
Yeah, so at the plate, did you spend a lot of time in the cage? Because you've been one of their best hitters on the year as well.
I did. I was hitting a lot.
Well, I'll tell you what, Izzy, way to go today. Our player of the game, 4 for 4 at the plate, 12 Ks. Way to go.
Yeah, that was Izzy Holler. So Izzy Holler is their freshman pitcher this year. And, developing that pitching core is what they're doing over at St. John right now. For the last couple of years, it's one of the things that Coach Tino and Coach Moore and Coach Prine talked about, was getting somebody like an Alyssa Severa to step up who had never pitched before and take over those pitching duties. And she's done a phenomenal job. She really accepted the challenge and, came in and was an everyday pitcher for them last year. And then this year you get Izzy Holler, who, plays travel ball and, really took pitching seriously. So to have, at least 2 arms, with baseball and softball in high school, it's all about the pitching rotation that you've got. And with that pitching rotation, sorry, again, camera issues, folks, but we'll get there. We'll get there. I'm going to have to do like some old school video game like cord stuff here to fix it again. I apologize. There we are. Anyway, you talk about the development of the pitching core that they've got out there. They've got some bats, and the future's really looking up for St. John. They do end up winning that game. It's an 11-10 win over Badger in a game that it was won by a walk-off steal at home. Due to a pass ball. And it was, that was one of those games where honestly, it was just the home team. Whoever got up to bat last was probably going to win that game. And in St. John's case, that day, that's really, that was really what happened. Let's talk about a couple of the other games from that Friday. Looking over there on ysnlive.com/scores. That's where you want to go to get all of the up-to-date scores that you can get from the area. There's a lot of great games going on that day. You talk about Howland and Columbiana. Columbiana is one of the biggest offensive teams we have on the network this year. But Howland able to get over top of them on that one. Louisville, red hot, number 9 in our power rankings. We're going to bring those up here very, very soon. Cheney and Sebring, that's a 2.0. Like they played that game the day before, and some crazy ending in that one. But Lakeside and Conneaut is the one I kind of wanted to talk about this morning. So Conneaut has really had a rough go of it this year. Losing some games by a lot of runs, and Lakeside really had seemingly gotten it together last week with a huge win over their Crossbridge rival in Edgewood, and that Edgewood Lakeside rivalry is very much alive. But Lakeside able to get the win over Conneaut, but only score 3 runs, and I think that's something that they always say there's no such thing as moral victories, but there has to be something there. Lakeside is a team that just a couple days prior was able to put 23 runs up in a game against a very, very good, very competitive PV team who went out and won some games after that as well. We're going to talk about them and that doubleheader in Grand Valley on Saturday. But Conneaut, able to get one across, and Lakeside going to come out on top. Lakeside's got some stuff moving for them. There's some stuff going in the right direction for Lakeside, and they've got a lot of talent. You talk about the guys, Alex DeSalvatore, Dylan Newsome, Caleb Stitt, Matt Wagner, Cam Crockett, Malachi Matlock, the very, very fast Malachi Matlock. I mean, and there's a whole bunch of names. I think Coach Zyber, Coach Kiphart, Coach Crockett, they're all doing a great job with those guys and really getting some high quality baseball out of those Lakeside baseball players this year. In a year that, that they lose a guy like Ashton Wheelock, who is, pretty much born for baseball. Like, he's playing baseball over, I believe, at Gannon right now. It's hard not to just lose that talent, but also lose that leadership. And they've got some guys who are stepping up this year. And it's just really an interesting look over there at Lakeside. And I can't wait to kind of see how this season continues to progress. Jackson Milton 15, Latonia 3, Springfield losing to Ursuline 10-0. This was another interesting one here. JFK taking a loss to Mooney. JFK is one of the better teams on the network this year as well, just not a whole bunch of games to judge on. But Mooney, on the other hand, has been certified. They've been out here doing it since the beginning. So it was a really interesting game in that one. We talk about St. John and Badger. Obviously, we talked about that one earlier in the show with Izzy Holler and that great performance that they have out there. A lot of girls doing some great things out there. Brittany Cole, one of the seniors out there, Colleen Anderson, one of the seniors out there, just out there working very, very hard. Riley Beatman as the catcher. And we talked about the importance of that catcher role, particularly when you have a young pitcher out there. It takes a lot to kind of keep them under control and do all those sort of things. So, that kudos to those young ladies for doing it. Edgewood going over to Conneaut, and another rival of Edgewood. Edgewood smack dab in the middle of Conneaut and Lakeside. So those two games, anytime you see those teams, whether it's it doesn't matter what they're playing. It could be a pinochle match. Anytime those teams are going against each other, there's pride on the line, and they're going to put a lot of effort into getting that W. But Edgewood going to win this one 16-0 after taking a tough loss to a very good Jefferson team. I think Jefferson is really kind of coming into their own. I'll tell you one thing they can do is hit the ball. They got a bunch of home run hitters out there at Jefferson, and Edgewood, they ran into it. And with outstanding play from young ladies like Sammy Speakman, in that game, I think they've really got some good stuff going over there in Jefferson, but Edgewood able to bounce back, get a win over Conneaut, and continuing down the road on what's been a very successful year so far for them. Campbell Memorial falling to Springfield 7-3. Crestview is another one that's been kind of on my radar. 22-0. Crestview is winning a lot of games by a lot of runs. So keep your eyes right there on those Rebels. And that was kind of it for this area. But obviously, as you can see, there's just a ton of games on the network. If you're ever wondering what some of the teams, anywhere from the Mahoning River all the way, and actually to Akron, all the way to Akron to the lake. I mean, how crazy is that for a huge area? And what a blessing it is to have this whole area be covered, including Akron, which is one of our newest signed schools, the Akron Hoban Knights, who as we go through the power rankings have caused a little bit of a scuffle, a little bit of an issue. And that's, the beautiful thing is the power rankings are based on, wins and losses. So it doesn't matter who you're playing. It matters how much you're playing and how much you're winning is more, I guess, appropriate. So let's head over to Saturday. Now, Saturday was a pretty big day. 3 games for me as we have a triple header over there at Jefferson. And I want to send a huge shout out to the Jefferson Athletic Department, Coach Barber, for hosting this. It was, even though it was a long day, it was really nice to kind of be up in the press box, and we had a beautiful setup, and there was a lot of great baseball being played on Saturday. For the first time this year, we got to catch the Geneva Eagles on the network, and what a day that ended up being for them. I'm going to start off right here at the top with that Geneva versus Jefferson game. Now, you look at this game, and it's 14-5, and I think, just as a look, passing it over in a glance, you would think, oh, well, Geneva went out there and completely boat raced them, and it was quite the opposite of that one. Geneva turns on the power in the 7th inning. Top of the 7th inning, they scored 10 runs, including a grand slam hit by Curtis Mayer, their catcher. They score 10 runs and make it 14-4. going into the bottom of the seventh. But most of this game, it was 2-2 for 2 innings. It was 4-4 for 2 or 3 innings. And again, Geneva figured it out in the 7th inning. And again, it was just an awesome game to watch. And Geneva is a very, very talented team. I mean, they can hit that ball all over the field. Curtis Mayer going out there and hitting that big shot isn't the only huge hit they have. You know, they got some young guys out there, Andrew Oros, who put a couple big shots out. You know, the Arkenberg boys can hit it wherever they want to. You got our YSN alumni, Jack Cafaro, who did a little bit of everything in that game, in those games, you know, including in the second game, going in there in the reliever role and pitching. You know, it was a fun, it was fun to get to catch Geneva for the first time this year, because I think Geneva is one of those teams that when the tournament time comes, you're going to see them, you know, with their eyes on a sectional or even more than that, because they're very talented. Not yet part of the YSN family. We're hoping that changes sooner than later, because it would be awesome to get, you know, my interest would be with a team like Geneva's. Where do they fit in the power rankings that we're going to be unveiling at the, you know, at the end of the show? How many of those guys and gals are going to, you know, end up in that starting 9? Because, you know, I believe that it would be more, you know, I think they would be a regular in both of those things. Very, very talented. And that game was fun. And over on the Jefferson side, again, 14-5, the final in that one. But, you know, it was really a good game all the way to the top of the 7th. Kirk Lambert, who is their senior pitcher, went out there and pitched a pretty good game against a team in Geneva that can really hit the ball. Again, it was 4-4 going into the top of the 7th. You know, they ran into some arm issues, so they had to go into relief. And when the relief comes in, it doesn't necessarily work out the way they wanted it to. But up until that point, Kirk Lambert was pitching an absolute gem. He did a great job at the plate as well. Campbell Memorial going to fall to Jackson Milton 19-0. You got Lakeview, and I've talked about Lakeview, you know, almost ad nauseum this year. I think Lakeview, they are going to make the most noise. You know, they're the sleeper pick for the NE8 this year. South Range and Poland are certified. Those are 2 teams that, you know, are going to be really good, and they've showed it early this year. But Lakeview is one of those teams I think maybe have been overlooked. And they're showing that you absolutely should not have overlooked them. Over here in this Edgewood Conneaut game, Edgewood goes out on the baseball side and gets it done in this one, 13-3. And I want to send a shout out to Logan Cray in this game. Now, Logan Cray made the starting 9 last week, which would make him ineligible for the one this week. But Logan Cray goes out there in this game, 3 for 3 from the plate, a triple, a double, and a home run. His first career home run in this game. And LL Cool Cray, as I like to call him, really had a day out there. You know, 1 hit away from the cycle. And you know, this is a guy who has taken kind of a leadership role on this team as well. He's only a junior, but he's a kid who's able to do so much on a regular basis. And you know, they talk about pressure, and it bursts pipes or creates diamonds, and he's looking like a gemstone. I mean, this kid is able to produce every time they've called on to him, and they've got a great team over at Edgewood. Ethan Dietrich is awesome. You know, Tony Hall, we just had him on, you know, post-game interview not too long ago as a catcher. You know, and they've got some guys that are kind of fitting in and finding their role. And when we did an interview with Coach Barger early in the year, he said that this year people's roles were going to change and they had to embrace that. And I think that Edgewood has fully embraced that. You know, last week was, you know, a very much an up and down week for them. You know, you look at the early loss to Lakeside in the week where they were favored in that game. But Lakeside goes out there and gets the job done, because I think Lakeside is starting to fire on all cylinders right now as well. And then they go out and they beat a good Cardinal team, and then they fall to that Cardinal team. So getting the wins over Conneaut, who, you know, just they had a gut check with, you know, keeping Lakeside down to 3 runs, not more than 1 day ago, going out there and getting a win in that doubleheader. And Logan Cray absolutely just hitting lights out for the Warriors. with his first career home run in this one. 13-3, Edgewood going to win that one. And then we talk about the Valley's rivalry there. So Grand Valley and Pymatuning Valley. Pymatuning Valley is another one that you can talk about, kind of ups and downs last week. They had a couple tough games, including Lakeside with a 23-run loss, and then 19 runs lost against a very good Kirtland team. And Kirtland, anytime you play Kirtland, it doesn't matter what it is, they're going to be good. They've got great athletes, a great athletic culture out there. They don't do anything. They don't do anything to lose, and that's what's going on. But PV gonna be able to step up and win this game, and I believe we're gonna go down the list a little bit more. I think this was a doubleheader as well. PV is a team where arm talent has to be managed. They don't have a whole bunch of arms, and they don't have a whole bunch of experience on the mound. And if you talk to Coach Croston, for instance, two of the pitchers in that Lakeside game, that was the first time they had pitched in a high school baseball game. So, they're a team that PV always seems to get it together. If you give them enough time, PV will figure it out, and that's exactly what they're doing out there. You've got guys like Ryan Croston and Ty Vickery, that are going to be helpful at the bat. Devin Sharp, it's Luke Harvey, who's coming in and taking on some pitching, the pitching role for this PV team this year. There's a lot of guys. Zane Nesperenko is another one. That's a guy who plays baseball year round. So those are the guys they're going to have to kind of lean into and find, because that NAC conference is going to be highly contested, not just by PV, not just by St. John, but you've got great teams like Matthews and Wyndham has shown this year that they're going to be highly competitive as well. So that NAC is another one of those conferences I think you're going to have to pay very, very close attention to. Heartland Christian going 23-4 over Leetonia. We talked about Heartland Christian, picking it up last week as well, and not only winning games, but winning games by an absolute ton. Howland getting another win there over the Rebels in Crestview. Edison 32-0 over Southern. Mooney going to fall to Struthers, and Struthers, another one of those NE8 teams. The NE8 is probably the most contested conference in Northeast Ohio. There's only 8 teams, and every single one of them can win on any single day. Salem going to beat up on Cardinal 5-3. And, I didn't see who pitched in that game. And I'm going to have to go back and look, because I'll tell you what, that is an impressive win no matter who was pitching. But I can promise you, if you got one over Jake Bean, you guys were really getting something done in that one. St. John going to fall, and this was the third game of the day there. St. John going to fall to Jefferson 14-4. Jefferson goes out there, rested after they played the first game and got a break, and the bats were moving. The bats were really moving. And this one started off, closer than 14-4. In the first couple innings, it was, 3-4 at one point. And Jefferson able to really just get the bats going, including Logan Saxa. And I'm going to bring up his interview as well, because Saxa had a pretty good day. It was a tougher day against Geneva, but he figured it out when he went against the Heralds.
All right, I'm here with today's player of the game in the Jefferson-St. John game, Logan Saxa. Logan, you guys had a long day, but you still found a way to get it done at the plate. What was going on for you today?
Just working on seeing the ball, getting my timing down, and just went from there. Our guys did a great job putting the ball in play in situations when we needed them to.
Yeah, and you've been able to hit all day. It was a tougher game against Geneva, both on the mound and at the plate, but you were still able to get some stuff done there. What were some of the things that you worked on in the offseason to make sure you were getting done?
I really worked on shortening my swing and getting my timing down so that nothing really looks quick anymore. So everything, it feels like I have forever to kind of just hit the ball.
Nice. So what are some of the things we can look forward to when the Jefferson Falcons take the field this year?
You're going to see a lot of just overall great hitting, great pitching, great outfield, everything like that, I mean, it's a great ball club. We worked really hard. All of us in the offseason did, and it's just greatness from now on here.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we're here, player of the game, sophomore Logan Saxa. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, Logan Sachs able to get the bat together in that second game. Had some trouble on the mound in the Geneva game, but was able to kind of get that going and get it together. Louisville is another team to keep your eye on. You look at that Prep Baseball ranking website. They were one of the top teams to kind of watch out for in Northeast Ohio, able to get a win over a very, very good Perry team. And we're going to head over to the softball side. It's Southern Local falling to Beaver Local 7-6. Howland going 17-7 over Crestview. Newton Falls 13-0 over Niles. Southern Local going to get this better in the second one. 7-2 win over Beaver Local there. West Branch going to fall to Boardman there 2-0. And Liberty 12-0 over Cheney. And that was your scores. We're going to jump right into some of the standings here. Over there in that AAC, you still have Canfield on the top there and Fitch on the top in softball. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know that Fitch is going to be changing from there. Fitch is one of the best softball teams I've ever seen. We'll head over to the CVC. You've got Geneva at 8-2, Edgewood at 7-4. Lakeside at 2-6, but I think Lakeside got another win, so that one should be 3. Again, that's gonna be one of those to watch. Lakeside trying to make kind of a late or a mid-season push to try and make some noise. And right now, the Lake Division is not an actual division; they are in the Metro Division. We'll get that fixed here just in a little bit. You got Harvey standing on top Harvey is tied actually with Edgewood on the top there at 3-0 in the softball conference, but Perry 2-1 with their lone loss coming to the Edgewood Warriors. Now Edgewood's losses come from outside of the conference, so Edgewood is really making a pretty big run at winning that conference title. So we're going to go to our first break, and then when we come back from the break, we are going to talk about the starting 9 from this week. We're going to give out rerun the power rankings that were released yesterday. And then we're going to talk about some of the games that are coming up. This is a good time for me to remind you all that the 440 Sports Show right now is sponsored by nobody. We're still looking for sponsors. We're still looking for advertisements. I would love to get some of the Ashtabula businesses involved right here on YSN. It's a great way to get your brand in front of almost 70 different school districts, 70 different demographics. It's a great way to help and give back, as all the sponsors and advertisers are what helps us continue to provide these broadcasts and to, do these things where we're following teams all around and do these shows. So when we come back, we're going to talk starting 9 and we're going to talk power rankings. And I'm going to see you guys here in just a little bit after we talk to our friends over at Toyota of Warren.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
Locally owned and operated, Sheely's relaxed shopping experience means browsing and lounging is always encouraged.
Find Flex Deal and more at Sheely's Furniture and Appliance, because the best things in life happen at home.
How lucky are we to have not one, but 2 18-hole Donald Ross Championship golf courses right here in our backyards. Mill Creek Golf Course was selected by Golf Week as one of America's 30 best municipal courses, continuing to challenge golfers of all levels and featuring golf instruction by PGA professionals, a state-of-the-art practice range, a PGA of America recognized pro shop, kids programs, and a relaxing grill room for a memorable golf experience. For more information or to schedule a tee time, visit millcreekmetroparks.org.
Fall is in the air. The kids are back to school, crowds are cheering for the home team, and Myers Family Insurance is prepped for another crazy Medicare season. Every year there's changes, some big, some small. So it's important to have a conversation to make sure your plan is going to meet your expectations for the coming year. Give our team a call today to schedule your annual review.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance.
Or visit us on the web. Check us out online at MyersFamilyINS.com.
Going from mindful to mindful sometimes requires a helping, healing hand. Insight Clinical Counseling and Wellness offers a continuum of mental health and wellness care. At Insight, we're changing the way you receive counseling and wellness services with experienced licensed clinicians and expertly trained wellness staff. With 4 locations in Mahoning and Columbiana County, along with telehealth services, Insight offers clients quick access to care when they need it. Transform your mental health and wellness at Insight Clinical Counseling and Wellness.
All right, everybody, welcome back here. Sam Torres, the 440 Sports Show. It is Monday after a long week and a longer weekend of baseball and softball right here in the area. We're going to get into some of these power rankings first, as this was a it was able to get some conversation going, we'll say. Let's start off here with these baseball power rankings. Number 1 this week, who wasn't on the list last week, and it was simply because of the amount of games they had in, is the Akron Hoban Knights. Akron Hoban right now is a absolute powerhouse. And as they are now a part of the YSN family, going to be included in all of those, all of these power rankings from, going here forward. Excuse me. Moving on from here forward, South Range in there with South Range has like 10 wins on the year. Their record right now 10-1. Holy smokes, are they really just very, very good. Trying to get over to that Canfield record real quick. Canfield is 6-2, and they had a rough ending in their trip, and we got some of that over on the Diamond Roundup yesterday. When DJ Yoakley got a chance to join us yesterday, and boy, what a treat that was yesterday. It was awesome. DJ Yoakley, he's a baseball guy at heart. This is a sport that he really is passionate about, and you could see it there. You got LeBray here at number 4. LeBray with 10 wins on the year. There's those Lakeview Bulldogs at number 5. West Branch at number 6. JFK at 7. Poland at 8. Louisville at 9, and that's another one of those teams that there's a lot of argument for where they should be, and a lot of people who feel like Louisville should be higher than that. But the way the point system, the algorithm, the way that's all moving, Louisville sitting at 9, Crestview at 10, Fitch at 11, Ursuline at 12. Ursuline just very competitive in everything they're doing right now. You got McDonald at 13, Jackson Milton, who has had a year so far at 14, United at 15, Springfield at 16, and Edgewood at 17. And Edgewood took 2 losses last week that I think is what kind of knocked them out of that top 10. I think a win over Cardinal and a win over, if they were able to get that win over Lakeside and a win over Cardinal, we very, very well could be talking about Edgewood in that top 10. Still a lot of room for improvement, and still a lot of room for them to move up. And, I'm interested to see what other county teams are going to kind of sneak in on this Power 20. I could tell you that Hoban is going to be a hard one to knock off the top there. And South Range is going to have a chance as Poland and South Range are on a crash course for each other. Sitting there in that NE8, and both of those teams are, the top 2 spots. Garrettsville, Garfield at 18, and Wellsville 19. Western Reserve at 20, and that's another team I think you might see begin to creep up the power rankings. Moving on over to softball, and at the number 1 spot, we've got another one who I think is just going to be a stronghold, and that's Fitch. Fitch has a young lady that's pitching for them on the regular basis, Sydney Watts. They've got a really, really great defense. All they do is win. Call him DJ Khaled. They are very, very good. Canfield also very good. South Range right behind them. Champion has Gabby, a young lady by the name of Gabby Gradshire or Gradshire. She's only got 3 new hitter or no hitters on the year. Also getting it done from the plate there. Champion, I can see Champion going from a small graphic to a large graphic before the year is over. McDonald is another one. Undefeated. Their last loss is to Champion. Columbiana has been scoring runs like it's a football game. You've got Hoban sneaking in there as well. Western Reserve, Poland at 9, Lakeview at 10, Louisville at 11, Howland at 12, and United at 13. Brookfield 14. PV, the PV Lakers getting in there at 14 with some huge wins behind, young women like Bailey Alderman, Sage Payne, going out there with huge wins and getting them up in there. 16, you got Springfield. 17 is Jefferson, and 18 is Edgewood. And that's one of those where that could have very well been switched depending on a game result. Edgewood, very good this year. Jefferson has put it together, folks. I'm telling you, watch out for those young ladies. They are going to cause some noise over there. You look at the NE8 in their conference, and a rough start for Jefferson. Only, they're 5-4 on the year, but getting 2 quick losses to the 5-0 and the 9-1 overall South Range Raiders. Jefferson is first of all, to win the conference, they're going to need some help. They're going to need somebody like a Poland to get a win over South Range, and Jefferson was able to split the series with Poland. So you got Girard at 19 and LeBray at number 20, and that is this week's power rankings. Those are all going to be released on, they've already been released on YSN. I'll release them over on the 440 Sports page and Instagram here shortly, along with these. And we're going to go baseball starting 9. In this week's baseball starting 9, St. John's Tommy Miller against Conneaut goes out there 4 for 4 with 5 RBIs, 3 runs scored in their 22-4 win over Conneaut. And St. John, again, we're talking about a team that hasn't got to play a lot of games this year. So for them to get out there and get guys going 4 for 4, that's really something to be said. And Tommy Miller, one of a couple seniors on that team, very, very talented, him along with his brother Matt. Both of the Miller boys, when they're up at bat, there's a good chance they're going to get a hit. They're senior, and they've got a lot of sophomore input on this St. John team as well. Chris Rosar over at Niles goes 4 for 4, 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored, and in their 11-4 win over Campbell. Caleb Satterfield over there from Boardman goes 2 for 2, including a home run in their 3-2 win over FPCA. You got Ben Wilcox going 2 for 2, including a 2-run shot over Warren Harding in that 12-5 win. And then we got Matt Wagner from Lakeside going 3 for 3, 3 RBIs, 2 stolen bases in their 23-0 win over the PV Lakers in that one. And Matt Wagner gets out there. He's another one. He's a freshman. Freshman on this Lakeside team has to get it done, and got it done when they needed him to. He's an outfielder. He's very speedy. But every time he goes to bat, and that's in the Edgewood game, he had a pretty good batting percentage in that one as well. He's one of those guys. You talk about building blocks, and this is going to be a building block of the team. Mark Manning, 3 for 3, 3 RBIs, 3 runs scored in their 19-0 win over East. Mark Manning and Ursuline man. You got Ryan Burns from Hoban, 3 for 4, 2 RBIs, and a run scored in an 11-2 win over Ellett. How about Lucas Henry over there at Grand Valley High School going 4 for 5, 3 RBIs, 2 runs scored in a 14-2 win over Crestwood. And Grand Valley's a team that, they lost some big-time players last year, and none bigger really than Hagen Hayduck. How do you replace a guy like that? He's a guy who would come in. He could pitch for you. He could lock down the infield. His bat was always on fire. He was a leader. He was a guy who always kept the team hyped. So you got to replace a guy like that. You can't do it. They're looking for some input from some of their other players, and Lucas Henry answered the call when Crestwood came over and played Grand Valley. Tyler Rarick, Heartland Christian, goes 3 for 3 with 3 RBIs and 4 runs scored in their 23-4 win over Latonia. Now we're going to head over to this week's starting 9 over on the softball side, and it's Abby DeJoy from Brookfield going 3 for 4. And I just want you guys to take a moment and look at the numbers when it comes to getting on the starting 9 whether it's baseball or softball, because they're incredible. 82 different performances were nominated last week. We had 82 performances that we had to nip down to 18 players. There's a lot of players who did some great things that just missed the cut. And softball, I'm telling you, you have to be a great pitcher and a great hitter, or if you're a hitter, you have to be perfect. Otherwise, you're not going to get a shot. Abby DeJoy goes 3 for 4, 5 RBIs, and hits her 5th home run of the season. Sarah Horn over at Liberty, 4 for 6, hits a home run, 6 RBIs, in a 13-11 win over Campbell. You got Mackenzie Gramble from Columbiana. She pitches a perfect game. And then tops the perfect game off with a grand slam, 4 RBIs in the 8-0 win over the undefeated McDonald. Gabby Gradishar, we talked about her a ton this year. So she goes 4 for 4, 2 home runs in one game, 6 RBIs, 5 innings pitched, in their 8 and 9 strikeouts in their 18-1 win over Brookfield. And Brookfield very good as well. Sydney Watts goes 4 innings pitched and 11 strikeouts in another perfect game. So we talked about what it takes to get on this softball one. It ain't just the no-hitter anymore. Now you got to be perfect. We got 2 perfect games right here on the softball starting 9 this week. You got Melina Serrano from Girard. She goes in there 5 for 5, folks. 5 for 5 with 4 RBIs in a 17-10 win over St. Bede. And then you got Marshalla Meyer from Warren JFK going 2 for 2 with 3 RBIs, 2 runs scored in a 13-1 win over Cleveland Central Catholic. Mia Parker from Liberty, 6 for 6. She got 6 times at bat. She got 6 hits out of that. 4 RBIs in a 19-15 win over Badger. And then Alyssa Masucci over at Howland going 4 for 4 with 5 RBIs, 3 runs scored, 17-7 win over Crestview. What a weekend, or what a week it was for the YSN athletes this week. I just cannot believe some of the numbers they're putting up here. It's like they're playing the game and have messed with the sliders. It's amazing. And this week, this week it's going to look sketchy up in the north part, up here on the lakefront, weather-wise. It's going to be interesting to see how many games get played, because I know it rained like crazy yesterday, and we're talking about potential snow tomorrow. But regardless of what happens, if it does happen, you can look for it right here. This is Sam Torres from the 440 Sports Show. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
This for the football. This for the football. For the city and the back roads, got a whole county full of them ghosts. All from the football. Hey, it's just for Beulah County. Yeah, right on your head like a bounty. Said I'm from Beulah, they know I'm from Beulah, so let me just go talk about my surroundings. Shout out them Eagles that's out in Geneva, them Lakers, oh yeah, that's Palmerton and Valley. We from the football chasing these goals. If you in the way, you get taken out proudly. And Jefferson soaring with Falcons. Said that you working, you ain't really working. You see that we working, our hands got a callus. Putting in reps till we moving some mountains. Edgewood got warriors, they won't allow it. Me, I bleed green and gold, they know defeating no dragons who run the whole city. You wildin'. And they really doubt it. And next we gon' go to Grand Valley. Work like a horse and don't show no remorse. So opponents keep coming, we stack them and pile them. Yeah, and kinda I flooded with Spartans. As soon as they pull up on game day, we park them. Cause we number 1 in that spot, ain't a bargain. Man, shout out St. John, they be ballin' like Harden. This for the football. This for the football. This for the football.